You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Hello, audience of dental practitioners out there across America and around the world. This is Everyday Practices, and this is Chad Johnson here with Vicki McManus-Peterson. Vicki, how you doing?
Crowd goes wild.
Oh, yeah. And today we have a special guest who I've met once or twice, Reese Harper. Reese from Dentist Advisors. Reese, how are you?
Hey, Chad. Hey, Vicki. How are you guys doing? I'm stoked
Great.
to be here and really grateful to be in the company of some very smart people that I respect a lot. So thanks for having me.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reese, every time I see you, the audience can't see you right now, but if they've seen video of you, every time I see you, you're thinner and thinner. Is it because it's getting to be late summer, so you're cycling more and more? What's the scoop? Are you, and next time I see you, are you going to be down to 110 pounds? Or
Vicki's better half, Pete, keeps me on a strictly fish and rice diet, caught out of the Northeast, and so I
has he
stay
given
healthy.
you a digital thermometer?
No, but you know what? I think Reese is going to come and visit us here in Anacortes in August sometime. And you know you're in when Pete gives you a digital thermometer.
Yep.
That is everybody's dream right there. So we still got things to come, Chad.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks, Chad. I'm doing my best to keep my summers active.
So let's shift from physically fit to fiscally fit. See how
Ooh, I like what you did there, other than the fact that I wanted to talk cycling, but fine.
Well, okay, we'll talk about financial cycles, and then we'll come back to
I love it. You doubled down.
bicycles. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a punny day. So, Reese, we just had the pleasure of being in Salt Lake with you and your team. I love, for those who don't know, Dentist Advisors really is a powerhouse for education, for their clients and the industry. And the way you break down your financial path into these elements, and I love that it looks like a periodic table. So it's very familiar to those of us in dentistry. It looks like chemistry, right?
Right.
So can you talk to us, just give us the basis of Dentist Advisors and your elements and why that's so important?
Well, it started, the elements weren't something I invented as kind of a marketing gimmick or anything. It started as a way for me to be able to try to give advice faster. I needed to be, a lot of people don't like meeting with a financial advisor because it takes a lot of time, as you know, to gather up all your stuff and sit down and meet and then get advice quickly. And for me, as I started to grow, I found that my financial advisor, my first financial advisor, Ryan Isaac, he would come into my office with a pile of papers after getting to meet with a new dentist and be like, okay, what do we tell them? and it was really hard to train and to teach and to get our firm to know how to think unless we cut to some shortcuts. And some of the shortcuts that I found were well, I don't know what to tell him, Ryan. How much liquidity does he have? I want to know how much he has in bank account balances. And almost, I would have rather had you shown me that before you asked me what to do, because that would have affected the advice I would give. Or how much debt does he have? What interest rates are his debt at? How much real estate equity does this person have? How much money they have in retirement accounts versus after-tax investments? Do they own a practice or are they an associate? There's a ton of questions that I just need as a foundational picture before I can even give advice. And that's what the elements became. It was 12 numbers that basically cut through all that noise and then told me a picture of someone really fast. And if I could just get those numbers handed to me, then I could give better advice quicker. And so we started to build over a period of years. It kind of evolved. We would ask questions about what really belongs in this periodic table. Like, what is the most important thing that we can't live without? Because we don't want to collect too much information or have too much of a headache.
Steps to success.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's 77 steps, So anyway, it basically boiled down to 12 numbers, 12 months of the year, and we'll cover one of these every month, and then we'll cover them all right up front. So we take them at the front, we kind of do a deep dive and cover everything, and then every month of the year we're reviewing something else. And behind that number, there's a lot of analysis and stuff we have to collect. But basically, if I were to take any person, any dentist in the country, and fill out their numbers and have that periodic table display back to me their statistics, I could compare and contrast them with other dentists that are in their same situation and kind of decide if I feel like there's an area of their life that they need to adjust, or if we're good and they're doing awesome and they don't need to change anything, right?
A standard.
Yeah.
Reese, Dr. Bruce talks about engineer talk, and I think that's kind of common with the financial elements, the table, the periodic table of finance that you guys have worked on, to be able to talk about that with your clients, us dentists. We do the same thing with talking engineer talk, or I actually, even in front of patients, I say, listen, this is a bunch of nerd talk that we're going to be talking for a second here. And it lets people know that, this is just kind of some of the jargon that we're going to be using, but then you also have to find a way to lay it plain. And so I wanted to ask you, I've been a timid skeptic about using financial advisors because, well, you and I had this talk about 2 months ago when we first were talking about, I don't know, like when I say it out loud, it's just like, I just don't know if I trust that anyone can do any better a job than myself. Yeah. And yet there's some truth to that. And it's not me being cocky, but like, as Dave Ramsey says, your best financial planner should hopefully be yourself. Now, thereafter, you surround yourself with people that are going to be able to help you and that know more than you, because certainly I don't know about money and finance and the big picture, but I should be the one that knows my little world the best and what's best for me. And the better I can articulate that to you or to someone else. So then when I brought you into the picture, I'll tell you what, I have to admit, I was a timid skeptic. And after talking with you, I want the audience to know I was very comfortable awfully quick knowing that you heard what I was saying. I wasn't impressed, even though it's true. I wasn't impressed, though, with how awesome you are as a financial planner or anything. I just like the fact that, like, I was like, okay, this guy's hearing what I'm saying and he's validating some of my concerns. So
that's good.
Props to you. I was really thrilled with that.
Well, thanks, Chad. I think you hit one of the most important things, which is like people, there's a big trust deficit with financial advisors. And that's the main reason people don't hire someone. I think it's that they don't establish, there's so much mistrust. That's really hard to trust someone, and it takes, in my opinion, trust is built on 3 different things in financial planning. One of them is like just time. Like you can't really replace, even if you trust someone initially, like sometimes it just takes, they have to be around for a while. They have to have proven that they're a trustworthy person, because trust can kind of like disappear real quick. A lot of people trust a financial advisor for a few months, and then all of a sudden in 3 months, they don't trust them again. And so it helps to have someone be around for a while. And trust also through compensation, like how you're paying someone also increases the likelihood that you can trust them. If people are selling you things and they get paid when they sell you something, that's just a really bad way to establish a relationship of trust. I don't trust.
We talked about this. We get sold to a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Whether it's equipment vendors, supply, real estate,
time. Hey, can I have 5 minutes of your time? Take this survey for 5 minutes and I'll give you $100 gift card. Those are just the dumb little ones that you get in an email. It's the, hey, why don't I get to lunch and learn? I'll buy your team a lunch, and therefore now you're obligated to have to hear about this stupid composite that I don't care about the composite.
Totally. Well, and you hit on one other thing that I want to highlight, which is you said, I don't really feel like sometimes anyone can possibly do a better job than than me. And I really think that people feel like hiring a financial advisor is almost like mutually exclusive from being really involved in your financial planning,
like
right?
it's the E-Myth. I'm going to give it off to you and just let someone take care of it rather than manage it together.
Yeah.
I know my situation, finance, let's work together.
Yeah, and it really needs to, it is more collaborative than that. I mean, there's just the simple truth about who needs a financial advisor is like everyone needs advice, but not everyone needs to start outsourcing anything to an advisor. Like there's a time where you don't need one. Like mathematically, you really don't need one. Like a book, a Dave Ramsey course, a radio program, listening to my free podcast. Like these are things that you can do for quite a long time. As your income grows and as your net worth grows, it's kind of like a video game where further you go along in levels, let's say levels or net worth levels, like negative 500,000 to 0 to 500,000 to $1 million to $1.5 million. These are kind of like levels you have to pass in financial planning. And if you pass them, you're making some level of progress, right? Yeah. At those different levels, like new things get unlocked, like new features get unlocked in this game of money. And they weren't things that you needed to deal with before. Like new things have to happen, new little tools and challenges and, struggles, like new little battles have to like occur as you go up this ladder of net worth. And so you get to a point, at some point, everyone, if their net worth continued to grow, would get to a point to where the jobs that had to be completed just kind of got out of control and overwhelming.
What was that called at the workshop? You were at the last Productive Dentist Academy workshop in May. Was it called Infinity Mode or Beast Mode?
Well, when you hit infinity mode is a place you get to in financial planning where a bunch of jobs get unlocked that have to be done. That's a state of like where your money's growing faster than you can spend it.
Well, I hate to take it to a rabbit trail, but that just, when you were talking about different unlocking, I was like, it's like infinity mode.
Yeah, infinity mode is a level you unlock at some point down the road. It's one of the places you hit where your money's growing faster than you can spend it. But along the way, like let's say you hire your first associate, there's some financial jobs that just got unlocked right there. Like you now have to have some kind of a compensation plan for him and some kind of a benefits package or some kind of a partnership track or some kind of an equity agreement. Maybe you have to like actually have a bonus plan you didn't need before. Those
Reese,
are all.
I have to tell you, I came back after that workshop and I was talking with my workout buddy in the swim pool, and I don't know what other kind of pools there are. Carpool? Okay, yeah, sure. But there is the swim pool. Yeah. And so we're swimming, and I said, hey, so I heard this thing from this financial planner that was talking about infinity mode. And he's like, what's that? And I said, okay, well, it was this certain volume of your money that, it can self-replicate itself. And he was like, oh man, what is it? And I told him and stuff, and I'm leaving a little of this hanging. So that way you've got a little bit of incentive to have people come visit your website and maybe give you a call and talk with you, because that's exactly what I did. And I was thrilled that I did that. But so I told him about this, and he goes, oh man, I thought I was going to be good. Like if I just got, and I think he said 3 million. He was like, I've been shooting for trying to do that. And now it sounds like I need to get my nose to the grind. So it's funny, the ripples that you probably didn't even think about, that people would be talking in the pool the next day about financial advice.
That's great. I'm glad it stimulated a conversation. Hopefully
it did.
It's if I got a chance to talk to him, hopefully I could make him feel like he was heading in the right direction, even though he might have felt like he was a little short that day. But right. I think the truth is that you hire a financial advisor once as your situation gets more complex, and complexity is just income going up and net worth going up. And everyone has a different tolerance to finally hire someone, right? Like some people will never hire someone because they do have an MBA and in finance and they're in dentistry and they just really enjoy it, right? And they just like really want to do their own financial planning and their own investing and their own tracking. And some people just hate money and they hate finance. And as soon as they, get their practice open or get their first job as an associate, they're reaching out to hire an advisor. It's not like there's a right or wrong time. It's really personality dependent. And the more complex your situation becomes, the more likely anyone along the spectrum is to like need help. And for people like you and Vicky, that might be like further down your path than someone who's maybe less inclined to be interested in finance and money, and they feel more intimidated by it. And so we just try to help people all along the way.
This is Vicky. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
'Cause as you're talking about this and I'm thinking about it, I think there's like for me and my delay, like I had the typical CPAs run some taxes, blah, blah, blah. And then my CPA wanted to put me on a monthly retainer and this and that. And I thought, oh, all right, fine. And then I would show up to these calls like angry and pissed off. And then I was like, why am I paying you money? And I thought, this is a really weird emotion because this person's trying their best to help me and I'm rejecting them. And it's not anything they're doing, right? This is all about me. And I finally took a step back and I realized now, like today, engaging with you, that I think there's this mental, emotional lag time when you do cross that complexity mode, right? Because you're struggling for so long. You're a struggling student. You got a mountain of debt. You buy a practice, another mountain of debt. So you're climbing out of the hole for so long that when you do have a couple of quarters in the bank, you're like, no. What do you mean I'm paying you?
It's all mine.
I can't pay you $1,000 a month to give me advice. I don't make $1,000 a month. Like
I've been doing fine without you.
Well, it's almost like when you lose a bunch of weight and you're thin, but mentally you still see yourself as heavy. Is there that same kind of financial lag time where you're in lack for so long? It takes a while to like mentally kind of get up to speed to recognize
and
abundance.
It's totally the case, and unfortunately, there's a big cost to that.
Yeah,
it's a very we call that being it's normal. That will happen to everyone.
We call that normal.
The challenge we call that reactive, just because you're reacting to an event that's occurring, and there's a cost when you react. That is a little less severe when you're being proactive and anticipating those costs. Like if you can anticipate the cost of excess cash showing up in your bank account, you can invest it earlier, and time value of money will compound it faster. Or if you can anticipate the need to refinance an interest rate at a particular time in your amortization schedule, then you don't have many years or months with payments that are excessively kind of going towards interest, right? That don't need to be there. Or same thing with insurance policies or profitability. Like most people realize the pain that they're in many months, if not years, after it's already been causing some damage. And then they hire an advisor to go back and try to get caught up and fix things. Ideally, people would just earlier on in their life find the person that they trust, and that person would actually be able to do all the jobs properly. And then you wouldn't have this lag time or delay or reactive kind of moment where their net worth essentially doesn't grow as fast. And no, the reason I'm saying like not everyone needs an advisor is because there is a period of time for everyone that you don't really have to spend money on different things. Like if you have 3 hours or 4 hours a night open, like you probably should mow your own lawn if you're not actually generating enough income and saving enough money. And there's a time you should drive your old Honda, and there's a time
you're clipping coupons.
Yes, continue to clip coupons. Like when you have time and your income's not high enough, I think there's always an argument for getting your income up higher, faster. But I think there's a place where you wouldn't hire an advisor, but most people wait way too long. They wait way too long. So anyway,
I'll have to say that I knew early on in life that I had no domestic functionality at all. Like I could not make my bed and hang my clothes. I still can't. Pete laughs at me all the time.
That's why you got yourself a Pete.
Well, yeah. Well, I made $20 a week, I think, in my dad's gas station. So I was better at pumping gas in the 1970s than I was at making my bed. And so I paid my sister like $5 a week. I paid her 20% of my paycheck. And her job was make my bed every morning, hang up my clothes, keep my room clean, because the payoff was huge. I couldn't go out on Friday or Saturday night unless my room was clean every day. And so
You leverage your entrepreneur skills.
and I was just like, but it relates to life, right? So when you're so locked in this cycle of, I don't do this well, yet I'm just going to hold on to every dollar I have so tight that now I got my $20, but I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything with it. So I'd rather have $15 and be able to go out on Friday night than have $20. And so
right.
It sounds like to me that's a great way to leverage a financial. I think it's actually your fault. I think it is financial planners in general. It's your fault that we don't get involved earlier because you hide under rocks. We can't find the good ones. We get burned by the bad ones. So.
It's the same with consultants and CPAs and advisors.
And dentists. Oh my God.
And dentists.
But not to. So tell us the roadmap. How do you interview and find that trustworthy partner? What are some things people look for?
Well, I've written a few good articles on this, one for dental economics and one for dentistry IQ. If you go to my website, there's a drop down in our education library. Just go to dentistadvisors.com, hit the education library, and go to there's a question area. You can drop down. You'll see one of the questions is the exact wording. What should I look for in an advisor? If you click that, you'll see you'll see a bunch of articles that will show up there. But one of them is 7 key questions that dentists should ask a financial advisor before hiring them. And it was one that I did from Dentistry IQ a while back. That's an easy one to look at, and we'll just kind of hit those real briefly. But the first thing I would have them do is describe the type of client that they work with. Like have them describe to you who it is that is their customer. That's the number one thing I think that anyone should be thinking about when you go to work for a company, or you compare services, or you think about hiring a landscaper, or you're thinking about hiring a financial planner or an accountant. Like, tell me about your clients. And if their clients don't sound like you, don't hire the person. Like, it's not going to be a good fit. Especially in financial planning, where there's just too many nuances in a dentist career and life cycle and financial decision making, that if they don't have a significant percentage of their clientele that's already a dentist, then I just don't think it's worth it, to hire them. You're not going to get your best bang for your buck. Second is, how do they make money? Ask them, how do you get paid? Do I pay you directly, or do you get paid through selling me stuff? It's that easy. If they get paid through selling you things, or they get paid commission through a product, like, do not hire them, period. There's no scenario that I would advise anyone in the future. Now, in the past, that was okay. Like, there was no other business model 15 years ago. But today, like, you have options. You have technology that can help you better than some humans can. But the best humans are only available, the most competent humans are available through a transparent exchange of money, where what you're paying the person. It's $500 a month. It's it's $1,000. They need 10 grand a year, or they need enough they need a 1% of your account until they're making 10 grand. Like, they need if they don't know exactly the dollar amount they need to make, then they probably haven't figured out their service model. Like, it'd be like a dentist that you could go to, and he would say, yeah, I just work with clients, and it doesn't matter kind of what services they need. I just get it done, and we'll figure out. I'm getting paid through my composite supplier. I'm getting paid for my amalgam supplier, my crown supplier. Like, you don't have to worry about it, client. Just come in and let me take care of you. Like, you don't want that to happen in dentistry. Dentistry has a UCR and a fee schedule, and that's the cost. And whether there's a third party payer, and like insurance or not, like, the dentist he needs to get paid something close to what his UCR is, right? He's trying to, and it's not perfect, right? But in financial planning, like, your financial advisor really needs to know how much they need to make in order to deliver a certain service to you, and they should be charging you transparently. And it's just called a fee only fiduciary model as opposed to a commission-based model. So I would look at those two things first.
That makes a lot of sense.
Briefly, I would hit just a couple others. I would talk to them about their educational background. Do they have any like formal background in study? Like, I don't think it has to be amazing, but like to be competitive in today's world, like I've got a master's degree in finance and I'm a certified financial planner and I've got a few other credentials. And those professional credentials and the academic background, not just like a credential only, but like there's a big difference between people studying finance in an academic environment, like a master's degree or even an undergraduate in finance, as opposed to just credentialization in the private market. I think it's nice to see both. And when we're hiring people, that's a big filter that we're using is we just want their ideas to be tested academically, and we want the industry to give them credentialization. And that just usually isn't the case with most firms. Have them describe their process, right? Have them describe the way that you're going to be serviced in detail. Like how do you guys manage the number of clients that one advisor can work with? Do you like just say, because think about that. That's really the key. Like if one financial advisor only has 2,000 hours a year that he can, that would be like really busy. If he can spend 2,000 hours a year with clients, how many hours is he actually talking to clients? How many hours is that person doing paperwork? Are you having that person do paperwork? Like, am I paying you to do paperwork? How many hours are you going to have for me? Because if he's got 300 clients, you might only be getting 3 or 4 hours a year total from that advisor. And you might be paying something like, $5,000 an hour for that person's time. Like, is that a good value exchange? Like in our firm, you might be paying us a higher dollar amount than you would another person. Maybe we quote you $6,000 a year and someone else says $3,000 a year. And you go, well, why are you guys so expensive? We say, well, our service model is dedicating 42 hours a year to you between all of our staff. So that puts our rate at somewhere around $125 an hour. Oh, okay. This other firm, it's that you're going to pay $3,000 to, you're getting an annual meeting with this individual and whenever you call in. So that might be 3 hours a year. So they're making $1,000 an hour on your situation. And a firm that charges more is going to make more like $125 an hour. Whatever, you just need to look past the fee and look at the service model and go, what am I getting for that fee? Like, it's not important what they're charging. Like if if Productive Dentist Academy is, in your case, a lot, maybe probably less expensive than many consultants and probably a little bit more than some others. But the real question is the value in that engagement better? And most people just don't know how to ask those kind of questions. They just need help knowing how to ask the questions because they're just looking at the fee and they're commoditizing the thing that they don't know. They'll commoditize financial planning in their brain, thinking it's all the same. And they'll commoditize consulting. They'll commoditize, office management and associates.
I had to tell you, like, your answer and your responses, I'm actually like, I can feel my nervous system just like calming down. It's actually like kind of like slumping on the couch. I was getting really comfy with that. And I'm amping you up. I'm sorry. I got to. No. I like, it was actually just like knowing these questions, which are so common sense and yet so powerful. You've just given everyone hearing you permission to dive deeper, right? And make sure that you're getting taken care of. And I love that. It's very clear. It's 42 hours a year. It's $125 an hour. That sounds so reasonable. Me, right? Or whatever that number is. Yeah. I love that.
You'd be surprised that maybe some people, like, there's certain things that are worth $1,000 an hour. Like sitting down with Vicki McManus for an hour getting one-on-one advice, if she already has the full context of your situation, maybe that's worth $1,000, for that hour. Maybe it's worth $5,000. Maybe it's worth 10.
Right.
It's hard to say.
Questions you get to ask and how are you going to get an ROI on it?
Yeah. And it's important to get past the fee and say, what am I getting for that?
What am I getting? Yeah. Well, and I have to tell you, every time I interact with every person on your team, it's consistent, it's congruent. And I think that's what there's a real synergy between our companies because we pay attention to that. Like we're very particular in who we hire. We're very particular in who we associate with. And your team, I would have anybody on your team do my advising. Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'll
You know,
call Ryan next week. So
yeah, I appreciate that perspective. I mean, it means a lot to me, and I feel the same way about PDA. I mean, if you've got a good process in place, the process should be doing a lot of the work, right? Not all of the work, but most of the work is done by a good process. And I wrote an article for Dell Economics called "How to Build Your Wealth Like a Steinway Piano." And it was my undergrad was actually in music, and I was a piano performance a player, and I got into my undergrad
I saw your singing. Was it in Mongolia recently?
Yes, yeah,
that was awesome.
I was helping some Mongolian people sing the Beatles and Queen. Yeah, that was fun.
No kidding.
I had to have you say that because it's not like what podcast in the world can you hear? You know, financial advisors teaching Mongolians how to sing the Beatles, right?
Is this on YouTube?
Oh, no, it was on my Instagram feed, but I think it might still be there. If you want to go check it out, go to Reese Harper CFP on Instagram. You can see a couple of my Mongolia posts. But the point I was bringing up about this piano, the Steinway, is there was this guy in Texas named Harold Kruger that actually owned the world's oldest Steinway grand piano. He didn't know that. He just had a piano in his house. He didn't know it was the oldest Steinway, but it was built in 1859. Wow. And it was carefully like passed down through his family, like generation after generation. And this it was still functional and it played really well. And, you know, which is it's a pretty unusual thing for a piano to have that long of a durability. And people who know about piano construction, you know, it's not specific to Steinway. I'd say there's a lot of great pianos out there. Steinway, Bosendorfer, you know, Petroff. There's some really, really nice handmade pianos, you know, where manufacturers are making maybe a few hundred pianos a year, as opposed to Yamaha or Kawai or some of the bigger manufacturers that make 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 pianos a year, 10,000 pianos a year, and they're just selling them all over China. You know, there's a big difference in quality. The level of customization, how durable the machine is going to be. I mean, Steinway is like nurturing these instruments over years before selling them. The wood's getting acclimated to the environment. The components are built with extremely different components, the action, the hammers, the weights, the metals inside of the piano, the way that they're put together, the way that they're seasoned, the temperature controls of each room that each component is put together in. I mean, it's just like, it is like
the physics and artistry all combined. I love it.
Yeah, it's so different. It is so different. And there's a reason that one piano lasts longer than another. And financial planning is really similar. Like some financial plans last forever. And some like literally need to be rebuilt like every 3 years with a new financial advisor because it was never done properly. It was never, there was not enough information shared. It wasn't comprehensive. It didn't incorporate everything. It wasn't seasoned. They made recommendations way too fast, way too quick. They rushed the relationship with the client. They never really built and established any kind of trust where it would be durable. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to spend any time or money on financial planning that doesn't last very long, or that it needs to be rebuilt or redone. It's just a waste. Like you need to get started as early as possible with the most durable solution so that your wealth really does start compounding earlier and lasts a lot longer, getting into that infinity mode that, you know, Chad was talking about. And I just think we're not used to looking at services the same way as we are things like a piano. Like most people would be like, well, of course, like you don't have to buy a Steinway because not everyone's a musician, but everyone's a financial planning person, and you have to have one of those. Like you either don't have a plan or you do, and it's important to take some lessons from other industries to kind of make a decision on a service provider, whether it's PDA. You know, giving you a really durable partner from a marketing and a, you know, operations and strategy consulting perspective, or it's, Dentist Advisors who's focused on financial advice and wealth management. Like it's just really important to have the end in mind and have the most durable construction. And we've taken a lot of time to think about every little component. And to me, that's like what I'm most proud of. If you look under the hood, look in the back office for our lowest, common denominator employee, the intern that we're hiring next week. Like that person, I would trust more with my finances than almost like you take any super smart person without a process. I'd rather have my brand new intern with our process than a really, really smart person
That's awesome.
Without a process. I trust it more. I'm like, well, I know they're not going to screw it up. They're going to follow these precise construction steps and have a really great outcome. And I like that.
So Reese, how does a dentist that's listening to this, and naturally, I don't know how to word it without making it, like making you gush that no one can see it, but like they're going to fall in love with you because when they hear this, there's a trustability that they like. I mean, that's at least what the case was for me. So someone says, Reese, how do I sign up, or what's the first step to me getting in touch with you? And not just saying, hey, what's your business card? Because we can put that information below, but what's the process look like? So someone
first, you got to decide if you really agree with the way we think. You got to decide if you really agree with the way we think. And I would say you go to dentistadvisors.com and subscribe to the podcast.
Okay.
Like get on the podcast right now. Like it's the Dentist Money Show on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. You just go to dentistadvisors.com/listen and just click the subscribe button and get it on your phone. Start listening to like 5 to 7 episodes that really resonate with you. Like the last one was about practice analytics and our perspective on that, then on technology in financial planning, and then on investing and insurance, and a bunch of like really cool topics, why you should maybe own a practice or not own a practice depending on your personality type, or, just there's a lot of really good stuff there. You pick one that you like and then start listening to 5 or 6 and really, don't just hire someone the first time you hear from them, but get to know who they are. And that's what I'd say your first step is. Get on the podcast and listen. If you're comfortable and you're like, you know what, I just really agree with these people, I want to like take the next step. Well, the next step is just going to the website and clicking book a free consultation. And what'll happen is you'll be able to pick from a really convenient time on your day off. We even have some Saturdays open. We have really early mornings, late nights. We like alter our schedule here to be really accommodating to East and West Coast, and even some clients that are far outside the U.S. time zones. And so you'll pick a time that works for you, and you'll just have an intro call where you're going to have a chance to like meet the advisor that you're actually going to be working with. When you click the book a free consultation button, it's just going to have you type in some information, are you a practice owner, an associate, what your student loan balance is, what your practice debt look like, how much do you have in the bank, what's your income, what your plans, big challenges you're struggling with. And you're going to describe a few things right when you book it. And we're going to know the exact person that you need to be paired with to have that consult go really well.
Gotcha.
We matched up with a person that we've selected that we know has the experience and competency and personality profile that's going to work best with your situation. And then you're going to have that call with them and be able to decide if you want to actually hire someone to work with. And
Vicky, what I heard was that he's going to listen to the risk factors and then mitigate those risks, offsetting them to make sure that we have the best financial outcome. Listening to risk factors.
This is an inside joke I'm not a part of, or some kind of philosophy you guys know.
It's more the philosophy. It's when we talk about risk factors with patients, we want to hear, how often are they snacking throughout the day? Are they sipping on stuff throughout the day? Are they brushing? Are they flossing? And with that information, that lets us know, okay, your cavity risk is going to be in this category. It's along the Coyce model that Dr. Bruce had.
Okay, yeah.
Talking about, hey, you've got a lot of periodontal pathogens in your saliva test. And we also notice radiographically you've got some bone loss. And so that's going to let us know that we need to do this to mitigate that risk and to give you the best long-term outcome. And you're doing the exact same thing. That's really awesome how many of these things are lining up when you're talking about, talking engineer talk or taking that out, or, having that ideal mouth versus what you call infinity mode and stuff like that. Stuff that kind of makes it fun, but it takes out that nerd talk, and
Totally.
it's cool how there's overlap between our industries.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to, like in our case, there's probably some correlation to dentistry as well, but we don't really like our advisors to force progression too quickly on someone. Yeah. It's like we've got to make sure they get to know. You're really committing to another human that's going to be with you for, like, our advisors, when they get someone on their calendar, like, think about the math here. Like, you're going to only get as a financial planner, you're only going to commit to like 100 people, like, that you're going to talk to for your entire life. Like, we have over a 98% retention rate in our firm. So, like, once a client comes in, we don't lose people, outside of like death. It's basically like our, that's where our percentage goes down.
Which is rarely good. I mean,
just in most circumstances, that is, it's viewed as a negative. Well, it depends on your faith.
I suppose. No, there's always that.
In most cases.
Yeah. And so a financial advisor is getting this person on the phone, and they're getting a chance to sort of say, man, like, that's why we pre-qualify, right? Or we're getting people's information to know, like, has their experience been in the past? Is this a good fit? It's kind of an interview process to mutually decide, like, we're going to work together for a long time. Do we both feel good about this? And we don't rush that. I mean, we take our time. Sometimes it's a multi call process, 3 to 5 calls, 2 to 4 calls, 1 to 3 calls. We don't want to take longer than people need. I mean, if once we have that first call, if it's going well and people are already really well informed about what we do, it can go pretty quickly. But we just want to make sure that people feel real comfortable and real confident that they're going to be taken care of. And that might take a little bit longer for some people based on their previous experience.
I love it.
Anyway.
I love it. Well, as always, Reese, you are a wealth of information, and I really do encourage people to check out all the online resources. We'll have those web links and things in our show notes, because you're a breath of fresh air, and you are a blessing in our industry. So thank you for your integrity. Thank you for all that you share. We have one more question for you.
Reese.
Got it.
I think I know the answer.
Yes.
Eggs or bacon?
Oh, eggs for sure.
I knew it. I knew you'd be an eggs kind of guy. Okay, wait. 10 years ago, bacon or eggs?
Yeah, I don't think it would have been eggs then. It would have been bacon for sure.
Well, I'm proud of you for your health kick. You're an inspiration to people in that regard too, if not 100 other ways. Hopefully people will kind of check into your stuff and see you even playing that piano in your little commercial thing. And
thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're an inspiration, man. I can't wait to be joining up with you this fall.
Yeah, we'll look forward to it. Thank you so much, guys, for all you do. I appreciate you chiming in and helping me go through my own therapy session today, getting this all out of me.
Word. Yeah. Well, Reese, thanks for joining us, and everybody, thanks for joining us today on Everyday Practices.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with Everyday Practices.